Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're all about plunging into compelling stories and, well, pulling out the sharpest insights. Today we're tackling Atmosphere. It's that huge historical fiction/romance novel from Taylor Jenkins Reid that really took off this summer, dropped June 3rd, 2025.
Yeah, big buzz around this one.
Absolutely. So our mission today, explore this amazing world Reid's built. We've got summaries, critiques, reader reviews, even author interviews. We want to figure out what makes it tick, Why such a hit? What surprising history is woven in? And maybe find some deeper lessons about life, love, breaking barriers.
And it all centers on Joan Goodwin. She's an astrophysics professor, pretty academic life until she gets inspired. NASA's opening the shuttle program to scientists, astronauts, people like her, not just pilots, but scientists needed in orbit. So she applies. And against the odds, gets into the 1980 training class.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll follow her career at Johnson Space Center, but also, crucially, the emotional stuff that happens there. It's not just rockets and tech. It's deeply human in space.
Right. And that dual narrative really jumps out, doesn't it? Our sources highlight this constantly. On one hand, you've got her career taking off, thrilling, pushing boundaries, and then intertwined with that, this really intense, hidden personal romance. It's a fascinating setup. You're just waiting for them to collide.
Exactly. And that's where so much of the heart of the novel is. So early in training, Joan connects with Vanessa Ford. She's this brilliant aeronautical engineer. Amidst all that pressure, the ambition, this friendship deepens into something more, a romance. But it has to be secret.
Because of the time, the early 80s.
Precisely. Think about NASA then. Very male-dominated, very institutional, high profile. 2 women in those roles. Huge career risk. So the secrecy isn't just like for drama. It shapes everything. Their choices, the tension, the stakes for every little moment between them. It's tender, but born from constraint.
Okay, and this is where the plot really ignites, right? It builds toward this huge shuttle mission. STS-LR9, fictional, but set in December 1984. And our sources really dig into this. A catastrophic event happens during the flight. Joan is on the ground. She's in mission control. Vanessa's on the shuttle. So Reid crafts this incredibly tense sequence. It's part thriller tech problems, life or death choices, and part just profound emotional agony for Joan. Listening, watching, trying to help from Earth, knowing the person she loves is up there.
And it's not just vague danger. The research Reid did shines here. You get specific, believable technical crises.
Like what?
Well, think like a sudden loss of cabin pressure warning flashing, or a critical thruster malfunction that could send the shuttle tumbling. It's not overwhelming jargon, but enough detail, the readouts, the comms protocols, the weight of decisions to feel terrifyingly real.
Wow.
And it forces that question. What happens when control just evaporates? The mission's outcome makes Joan face the limits of her control, face grief, face responsibility, these huge external events forcing deep internal reckonings. It's powerful stuff.
And the story doesn't just stop there after the mission. You've also got Joan's family life woven in. Her sister, Barbara, her niece, Frances. Kind of complicated relationships there, too.
Yeah, they're definitely part of her journey. And the mission's fallout ripples through her personal life profoundly, leads to these massive life changes, including taking custody of Frances.
So she really changes by the end.
Oh, absolutely. The sources point to this significant growth. She starts more reserved, internal. By the end, she's more communicative, determined, more herself, It's a real evolution, not just professional, but personal. And it's impressive how Reid handles that arc over years. It's not just about the big disaster. It's the quiet training moments, the slow development of identity. The writing really balances the technical stuff with this deeply emotional, character-focused voice. You feel like you're with Joan through it all.
Okay, let's pivot a bit. Let's unpack some of those core themes that seem to make Atmosphere hit home for so many readers. One thing critics keep mentioning is putting a lesbian relationship front and center in this, big NASA story. What does that allow Reid to explore?
Well, that's central to its impact, I think. It's not incidental. It lets her explore love under just immense pressure. The secrecy, like we said, the real career stakes back then, it shapes how they behave, the risks they take, the whole honesty versus concealment tightrope they walk. Reviews consistently say it feels tender, realistic. It gives you this important historical window into queer intimacy when absolutely had to be hidden. It asks, what does love look like when you can't shout it from the rooftops?
Right. It adds such a layer of complexity beyond just the romance itself.
Yeah.
And moving beyond the romance, Joan's story also digs into that idea of the price of breaking in, right? Being one of the first women, especially a scientist astronaut, in that kind of environment.
Absolutely. It's not just about the thrill, the achievement, though that's there. But it's also the isolation, the feeling of being constantly watched, judged differently, the sheer emotional toll of being a pioneer. The shuttle program setting is perfect for dramatizing that tension between the huge public ambition reaching for the stars and the private vulnerability. The everyday struggles, the sacrifices. What does it cost internally to achieve something so big externally?
And those mission sequences, the thriller parts, they add another layer too, don't they? A moral layer. Our sources talk about this conflict between duty and intimacy. Control versus, things just happening.
Yeah.
How do you handle that when lives are on the line?
That's where the stakes get incredibly high emotionally. It's about reconciling that intense mission focus, the training, the procedures, everyone's lives depending on it, with her deep personal connection, her love for Vanessa, Joan in mission control. She's calm under pressure. Her voice is this lifeline. But inside, we know she's terrified for Vanessa. It highlights that universal dilemma. How do you perform your job when your heart is breaking? Where do your loyalties ultimately lie?
That contrast must be incredibly powerful on the page. And you mentioned the research earlier. It sounds like Reed really did her homework.
Yes.
Months in Houston, consulting experts.
Oh yeah, the sources emphasize that. She immersed herself in the world of NASA.
Which you need for authenticity.
You do, and it pays off. The technical scenes feel grounded, believable. But, and critics agree on this, the book never sacrifices emotional truth for engineering diagrams. It's got that immersive world building, but seen through Joan's eyes, her feelings. That's kind of Reed's signature, right? You get the detail, you feel like you're there, but you don't get bogged down in jargon. The human story always comes first.
It's a tricky balance.
It is, and she nails it, according to most reviewers.
And what about style and pacing? People seem to really respond to how she builds things gradually.
Yeah, that slow burn to the mission disaster. She weaves in all these small interpersonal moments, character beats. So when the climax hits, it's not just plot. It lands emotionally. Hard. You've invested so much in Joan and Vanessa by then.
Makes sense.
Now, it's not universally praised on every level. Some critics find bits of it a bit sentimental, maybe a little simplified tonally.
Okay.
But others absolutely love that emotional directness. They see it as the book's strength. That's pretty typical for big, emotionally driven bestsellers, right? That split.
Right.
But regardless, it was a massive summer release, lots of buzz about adaptations already. It clearly struck a chord with a huge audience.
And maybe part of that chord is these takeaways people find in it. The book seems to offer some pretty profound lessons about persistence, but also about knowing when to let go.
Definitely. Let's talk about those give-up lessons, maybe.
Yeah. What does atmosphere teach us about giving up, and maybe more importantly, not giving up?
Okay, so first takeaway, and this one hits home for a lot of people, I think. Don't give up on your calling just because you're scared of the price tag, but and this is key. No, the costs involved.
Right. Be realistic.
Exactly. Joan steps away from a pretty secure academic life into NASA in 1980. Hugely male-dominated. The book shows her wrestling with self-doubt, feeling isolated, constantly proving herself. The social costs, the emotional costs, it's all there. The sacrifices. So yeah, pursue what matters, but go in eyes wide open about the real trade-offs. It's not just about blind ambition.
That feels very grounded. And that idea of cost connects to the second lesson, maybe.
Yeah.
About love and secrecy.
Yes. The book powerfully argues, don't give up love just because fear makes you hide it, because that's secrecy. It corrodes things.
How so?
Well, Joan and Vanessa live their relationship in the shadows. They can't share the highs or lows openly. That constant fear of being found out, it creates this anxiety. It stops intimacy from fully blooming. Reed makes it clear, yes, protect your safety, always. But living authentically, finding people you can be honest with, that's vital for your soul. Fear eats away at you.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
Okay, lesson 3 seems tied to the mission itself.
Right. Know when to let go of control. Space missions are the ultimate example of contingency, right? Things go wrong.
The book shows that thinking you can control everything is just hubris. It's dangerous. The mission forces Joan to accept that some things are beyond her influence. That's not weakness, it's realism. Learning the difference between taking action and accepting what you can't change, that's resilience.
A tough lesson, but vital. And the fourth one feels very personal to Joan's arc.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's essentially You can give up the wrong version of yourself to find a truer life.
Me know.
By the end, Joan sheds some of that earlier self, maybe more timid, perfectionistic, defined by concealment and maybe some shame. The disaster becomes a catalyst. She doesn't just survive, she grows into someone more open, more courageous, especially with Frances. It's about letting go of those limiting self-stories we tell ourselves, finding freedom by ditching the mask.
That's really hopeful. And the fifth lesson deals with the aftermath, with trauma.
Yeah. Don't give up on people after trauma. Understand that grief and finding meaning can actually coexist. It's not a quick fix.
Right. Healing takes time. Exactly. The book shows it's a long, slow process of rebuilding. Support, caregiving, finding new purpose like Joan does with Frances, that matters more than expecting things to snap back to normal. It's about sticking around, offering care, letting new connections grow, even after loss.
A testament to connection. And finally,
And this feels super relevant today, balance persistence with care.
okay,
Reid suggests the healthiest path isn't just gritting your teeth and enduring no matter what, it's resilient persistence. Pushing for goals, yes, but also tending to your relationships, your own mental health. Joan's journey shows the risks of just pushing relentlessly. So pursue your dreams, but do it with self-awareness, self-compassion. True strength includes knowing when to rest, get support, maybe even pivot. Build a life that sustains both success and well-being.
that's a great summary of the key takeaways. So thinking about all that, who is this book really going to resonate with? And who might, maybe, skip it?
Well, if you love emotionally rich, character-driven historical fiction, definitely pick it up. If you're already a fan of Taylor Jenkins Reid's other stuff, she's so good at these complex women characters.
And Gazy Jones or Evelyn Hugo?
Exactly. Or if you like romance that's grounded in real-world stakes, real historical settings, Atmosphere absolutely delivers. That blend of personal drama and big institutional backdrop is compelling.
Okay. But who might not connect as much?
Well, if you're looking for hard sci-fi, like super detailed engineering and physics, this probably isn't it. The focus is elsewhere.
Right, the human element.
Precisely. And also, if you tend to shy away from overt sentimentality, if you prefer prose that's maybe cooler, more ironic, this book wears its heart on its sleeve. It wants you to feel things deeply. So if that's not your cup of tea, maybe proceed with caution.
Good to know. It definitely sounds like a book that invites a strong emotional connection. So this deep dive into Atmosphere, it really has been a journey. Ambition, secrecy, love under pressure, and those hard-won lessons when things fall apart. Reid gives us not just a space story, but a story about the human spirit tested to its limits.
It really does. And it makes you think about all the stories within history, the ones that maybe didn't get told as loudly. Fiction like this, it can genuinely make us rethink what courage looks like. Not just the big public stuff, but the quiet, private choices that shape who we become.
Absolutely. So as you, our listeners, reflect on Joan Goodwin's journey, The World Reid Built, here's a thought to leave you with. How might looking at a familiar historical moment like the early space shuttle era through a new, deeply personal, maybe previously overlooked lens actually change how you understand its true legacy? What hidden stories might shift your perspective? Something to ponder.